Buongiorno. Bentornati. Today we will continue talking about Sicily as we learn plural nouns and plural definite articles. We'll also discuss how to describe people, places, and things. Let's return to our text from last lecture, which I'm sure you need no help remembering. Read along with me, and please feel free to consult the translation in your workbook afterward. Oggi parliamo della Sicilia. La Sicilia è l'isola più grande dell'Italia e del mare Mediterraneo. È un'isola triangolare. Si chiama anche Trinacria. Ecco la bandiera della Sicilia. La Sicilia ha una storia ricca e lunga, dai tempi dei Greci e dei Romani fino ad oggi. Ci sono tanti templi antichi a Siracusa. C'è il vulcano attivo, il Monte Etna. C'è anche lo stretto di Messina, con i mostri Scilla e Caridi del poema di Omero. Did you understand more this time? Benissimo. The indefinite articles in green clearly indicate the gender and singular number of the nouns that they precede. We know that un with an apostrophe only refers to feminine nouns. But with definite articles, the items in yellow and the one in purple here, the picture is slightly more complex. It's more complex because the L plus apostrophe can refer to feminine or masculine nouns. So let's quickly review the singular definite articles and nouns before we learn their plural endings. Please read with me. L'isola, la bandiera, la stazione, l'oceano, il mare, lo stretto. But what is this solitary I in front of mostri, you might ask? Yes, it is a definite article, a plural definite article. So let's turn our attention now to plural nouns and plural definite articles. When we started out talking about nouns, we noted that they have two particular characteristics, gender and number. While noun endings mostly do not change to reflect gender, barring those few exceptions we had noted, the endings do change to reflect number. And there is a reliable, easy pattern that these plural endings follow. Please read with me. La bandiera, le bandiere, l'isola, le isole, la stazione, le stazioni, la città, le città, il mare, i mari, l'oceano, gli oceani, lo stretto, gli stretti, il film, i film. Noun endings change from A to E, from O to I, and from E to I. If the noun ends in an accented vowel or a consonant, or is in its abbreviated form, the last letter does not change. Here you can see the plural definite articles as well. For the feminine, the change is from la to le, from L apostrophe to le, and for the masculine, the change is from il to e, or il to I, from L apostrophe to ye, and from lo to ye. Pronounce that again with me. Ye. Ye. Remember Puglia or familia and the sound of million? This is a sound that comes from your throat, not just your mouth. And you can feel that sound by putting your fingers at the back of your throat like this. Let's practice these plural noun endings and definite articles by talking about my favorite Sicilian detective, Inspector Salvo Montalbano, Commissario Montalbano, the character created by Andrea Camilleri in his novels, some of which have been adapted for the screen. As I mentioned last time, Sicily claims 2 Nobel laureates in literature, Luigi Pirandello and Salvatore Quasimodo. And there is a great tradition of the detective novel, known as the giallo, literally a yellow book, which originates there in the works of Leonardo Sciascia and Andrea Camilleri. These are books that treat real political and social problems, such as the mafia and political corruption. Apparently, an early series of these tales was published with yellow covers, and the color has been associated with them ever since. Commissario Montalbano, or I should say Luca Zingaretti, is known for his intelligence, his good looks, at least I would say so, his sympathetic nature, and his ravenous appetite. He loves to go to his favorite restaurant, Enzo Amare in Punta Secca, which you can also visit. It is located on the southwestern shore of Sicily, in the area of Donna Fugata. Also a location in Il Gattopardo, or The Leopard, an important Sicilian novel, and in Ragusa. Let's imagine a conversation between Montalbano and a waiter as he orders plural items, many items, at Enzo's. To do this, we will use a polite verb form, the conditional vorrei, which means I would like. Please repeat that word after me, vorrei, and try to roll your R's, vorrei. But we will also need to learn some numbers. Let's go over numbers from 1 to 20. Please repeat them after me. 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11, 12, 13, 14, 15, 16, 17, 18, 19, 20. Bravi! Now, is Montalbano going to order more than 20 cannoli? Not likely. But let's learn how to count by tens from 20 to 100, just in case. Please repeat these after me. 20, 30, 40, 50, 60, 70, 80, 90, 100. Bene. To count in between the tens, one tacks on the corresponding number to the end. This sometimes means losing the final vowel, as in the case of the endings UNO, uno, or OTTO, otto. Or it means adding an accent to the tre. Please repeat after me again. 21, 22, 23, 24, 25, 26, 27, 28, 29, and so forth. Very good. Benissimo. So let's get back to Montalbano's order ad ensos. Remember, as we read this dialogue together, please insert the correct plural ending. I will pause briefly to give you a chance to figure it out. Un bicchiere di vino? No, vorrei 2 bicchieri di vino. Una bottiglia di acqua? No, vorrei 2 bottiglie di acqua. Un arancino? No, vorrei 2 arancini. Un piatto di pasta alla norma? No, vorrei 2 piatti di pasta alla norma. Una bistecca? No, vorrei 2 bistecche. Un pesce alla griglia? No, vorrei 2 pesci. Un cannolo? No, vorrei 4 cannoli. E anche la cassata, e 2 granite, e 2 biscotti alla mandorla. Did you catch all of those delicious Sicilian specialties? While cannoli might be familiar to you, a dessert pastry shell filled with sweetened ricotta cream, perhaps the cassata cake is new to you. How did you do with the plural endings of those nouns? To review, the answers were 2 bicchieri, 2 bottiglie, 2 arancini, 2 piatti, 2 bistecche, 2 pesci, and 4 cannoli. It's a lot of food. Remember, the endings change from A to E, from O to I, and from E to I. If you were able to figure out that bicchiere went to bicchieri, that bottiglia went to bottiglie, arancino to arancini, piatto to piatti, bistecca to bistecche, pesce to pesci, and cannolo to cannoli, then you did great. Bravissimi. We describe places, people, and things with adjectives. Let's describe Montalbano, or really Luca Zingaretti, the actor who plays him in the TV series. Please read this with me. Montalbano è un commissario siciliano. È bello. He has, gli occhi castagni. Non è né basso né alto, né giovane né vecchio, né grasso né magro. È calvo, non ha capelli. È bravo, responsabile, sensibile, gentile e onesto. Qualche volta è nervoso, antipatico o triste, ma non sempre. Because Montalbano is male, you probably noticed that all of the adjectives ended in either an E or an O. Adjectives function just like nouns. They have gender and number, and their endings can change to reflect both. Here, Montalbano is neither basso, short, nor alto, tall, neither giovane, young, nor vecchio, old, neither grasso, corpulent, nor lean, magro, which is actually expressed with this hand gesture, lean. He is calvo, bald. Well, at least the actor Luca Zingaretti is. He doesn't have any capelli, hair. He is bravo, talented, responsabile, responsible, sensibile, sensitive, attention, not sensible. He is gentile, kind, and onesto, honest. Sometimes, qualche volta, he is nervoso, irritable, not nervous, antipatico, unkind, or triste, sad, but not always, non sempre. You might have noticed that sensibile and nervoso do not mean what you might assume, sensible or nervous, as I noted. These are false friends. False friends are words that look like cognates but are not. It will take some detective work to figure these out. Adjectives modify nouns. Because of this, they change their endings to reflect the gender and number of the noun they are modifying, as in the case of Montalbano. We've seen some noun-adjective pairings in our opening text. Un vulcano attivo, un teatro greco, una città importante, un'isola triangolare. Just from these 4 examples, you can figure out the basic rules. Adjectives in Italian, just like nouns, have 3 possible singular endings: A, O, and E. Adjectives almost always follow the nouns they modify. Just like nouns, these endings will change in the following ways: A to E, O to I, and E to I. The difficult thing to remember about adjectives is that those which end in E don't change to reflect gender, only number. Let's take a look. Please read with me. La bandiera rossa. Le bandiere rosse. L'isola grande. Le isole grandi. La stazione finale. Le stazioni finali. Il mare azzurro. I mari azzurri. L'oceano tranquillo. Gli oceani tranquilli. Lo stretto agitato. Gli stretti agitati. Bravi. Could you hear how often the endings of the noun and the adjective rhymed? This happens in almost all cases of masculine nouns and their adjectives. With feminine nouns and their adjectives, however, sometimes the rhyme can't happen. Take, for example, le isole grandi. The rhyme is often the quick way for us to produce the noun-adjective agreement right on our feet. But please remember, it can't always happen. Let's briefly talk about irregular plural endings for nouns and adjectives. Nouns or adjectives that end in ca, ka, ga, ga, or go, go, will take an H in their plural form. For example, la mia amica, my friend, becomes le mie amiche, my friends. In the conversation between Montalbano and his waiter, we saw bistecca, steak, become bistecche in the plural. Or la bottega di scarpe, the shoe store, become le botteghe di scarpe, the shoe stores. L'albergo di lusso, the luxury hotel, becomes gli alberghi di lusso, the luxury hotels. Notice how the words scarpe and lusso in both these examples don't change their endings. Bravi. Nouns and adjectives that end in co, co, normally take an H as well. For example, antico becomes antichi, bianco becomes bianchi, and ricco becomes ricchi. However, there are two notable exceptions to this rule. Amico becomes amici, and the opposite, nemico, the enemy, becomes nemici. If the accent is on the third from last syllable, there won't be an H, but the sound is a soft ch sound. For example, energico becomes energici, and simpatico becomes simpatici. But what if your noun or adjective ends in io, io? For example, riccio, curly, becomes ricci. Vecchio becomes vecchi. And grigio becomes grigi, because the accent does not fall on the final syllable. The word negozio for store becomes negozi. If it is a feminine noun that ends in cia, chia, or gia, gia, then it also depends upon whether there is a vowel or consonant before the C or the G. If there is a vowel before chia or gia, then the final I will remain. Valigia, for example, becomes valigie, suitcases. And farmacia becomes farmacie because of this rule. However, pioggia, rain, becomes piogge, the rains, because the consonant G precedes the ending GIA. Difficult to remember, but you will. Let's review some vocabulary that will help us describe people, their physical appearance, and their personality. Please read these with me. So, some words to describe physical appearance. Bello, handsome, beautiful. Brutto, ugly. Biondo, blonde. Bruno, dark-haired. Basso, short. Alto, tall. Grasso, corpulent. Magro, lean. Giovane, young. Vecchio, old or elderly. Anziano, older. Grande, large. Piccolo, small. Liscio, straight-haired or straight. And riccio, curly-haired or just curly. To describe character, here's some words. Allegro, happy. Triste, sad. Antipatico, mean. Simpatico, kind. Buono, good-hearted. Cattivo, bad or malicious. Gentile, kind. Onesto, honest. Bugiardo, deceitful. Tranquillo, peaceful or calm. stressato, stressed. Energico, energetic. Stanco, tired. If you were to ask what someone is like, you would say com'è, as in com'è Montalbano. Montalbano è bravo e sensibile. Montalbano is talented and sensitive. A few small points about these words we just read. It is nicer to use anziano rather than vecchio. And grande can refer to someone being older rather than larger. For example, la mia sorella più grande means my older sister. And buono is a word that describes people if they are good-hearted, but it can also refer to food that tastes good or animals who are obedient. Bravo is different. It refers to someone's talents and capabilities. And that's why we shout bravo at the end of a theatrical performance. Finally, let's talk about colors. La bandiera italiana è verde, bianca e rossa. La bandiera siciliana è rossa e gialla. The Italian flag is green, white, and red. The Sicilian flag is red and yellow. Do you remember the term for Italian detective novels? Yes, a giallo. Here are some other adjectives for color. Please repeat them with me. Azzurro, blu. Bianco, white. Castano, brown as in hair or an eye color. Grigio, gray. Nero, black. The other category of adjectives includes national and civic identities. Americano, canadese, Canadian, cinese, Chinese, francese, French, giapponese, Japanese, inglese, English, irlandese, Irish, italiano, Italian, messicano, Mexican, russo, Russian, spagnolo, Spanish, tedesco, German. Use these to describe people, things, and places. For example, la lingua russa means the Russian language. Or you can just put a definite article in front to signify the name of a language. Il russo means the Russian language. There are also adjectives like Siciliano or Romano to describe regional and urban identity, Sicilian or Roman. For example, Montalbano è un commissario siciliano. Montalbano is a Sicilian detective. How do you learn all of these adjectives? Practice them as much as possible by describing things that you see. Take a trip to your local museum and try to write out a brief sketch of some portraits. Let's do that together. Are you ready to practice these skills more by describing a beautiful painting by a Sicilian artist? Ci sono tanti artisti siciliani importanti. There are many important Sicilian artists. Antonello da Messina and Renato Guttuoso are just two of them. Let's practice with numbers over 100 in order to be able to read their dates. It is fairly simple. Mille means 1,000, but if there is more than 1,000, this becomes mila. Cento means 100. To read the date, you simply read it together as one word. For example, Antonello da Messina was born in 1430 and he died in 1479. Renato Guttuoso was born in 1911 and he died in 1987. These are long words, huh? Sono parole lunghe. Back to our artists. What can we say about them? Antonello da Messina e Renato Guttuoso sono di Sicilia, sono siciliani. Antonello da Messina and Renato Guttuoso are from Sicily. They are Sicilian. Antonello da Messina è di Messina. Guttuoso è di Bagheria. Antonello da Messina is from Messina. Guttuoso is from Bagheria. We only have time to look at one of these artists' work in detail, so let's consider Antonello da Messina's Madonna col Bambino, Mother with Child, also known as the Salting Madonna, named after the collector George Salting. Antonello da Messina è un artista rinascimentale. Please read this with me. Antonello da Messina è un artista rinascimentale. Remember how nouns that end in ista can be either masculine or feminine? Artista is an example of a masculine one. It is modified by the adjectival form of the Renaissance, rinascimentale. Here is Antonello da Messina's Mother with Child. Che cosa vedi? What do you see? Read this text with me, please. Ci sono una madre e un bambino. La madre è bella e il bambino è piccolo. Ci sono due angeli. La madre e il bambino sono tranquilli. La madre ha i capelli bruni. Il bambino ha i capelli bruni. Un angelo ha un drappo verde. L'altro angelo ha un drappo rosso. La madre ha le mani belle e graziose. Bravi! You might have heard me use a new verb, avere, the verb that means to have. For example, la madre ha i capelli bruni. The mother has brown hair. We also used it to describe the robe, the drappo of each angel. Un angelo ha un drappo verde. One angel has a green robe. L'altro angelo ha un drappo rosso. The other angel has a red robe. We use the verb avere in many contexts, including to describe hair and eye color. Remember our description of Commissario Montalbano? Ha gli occhi castani. He has brown eyes. Non ha I capelli. He doesn't have hair. We will explore this verb in more depth in Lecture 5. Please repeat the conjugated forms of this irregular verb, the verb avere. Ho, hai, ha, abbiamo, avete, hanno. As you could hear, we don't aspirate the letter H in Standard Italian, though some dialects, such as the Venetian one, will actually pronounce it. So when you see the letter H in Italian, simply skip over it. Bravi! I hope that you have enjoyed our tour of Sicily. Ci vediamo presto. Alla prossima!